Unscripted.
So some very interesting breaking news happened, I guess maybe overnight, and I wanted to talk about it because I feel like it's definitely something worth talking about. And the ramifications for this kind of run deep. Now, first of all, I want to say that I, for one, 100% believe in competition. If you're a company and you're competing with somebody, you do whatever you can to sort of better the competition, to beat the competition. And that's sort of what we're seeing here. This means that there's a full-on competition between Microsoft and Sony, Xbox and PlayStation, and this is great for us gamers. This is going to end up paying off well for us. It's going to make Microsoft try to go out there and get more games for Game Pass, and it's going to get Sony to get out there and try to stop games from coming to Game Pass, and in the interim try to bring games with exclusive content to PlayStation gamers. And I think that one side or the other is going to get really pissed off about it, right? Probably the Xbox side, and they didn't realize that Microsoft does the same thing, and that's where the hilarity ensues. So I want to get started. So according to this, which I will link and you guys can check it out, Sony's deal with Capcom reportedly blocks Resident Evil Village release on Xbox Game Pass. So a full document that reveals a marketing deal between Sony and Capcom has been discovered in the leaked files. According to the deal, Resident Evil Village won't be coming to Game Pass at least for a full year after its launch. After a long wait, Capcom's highly anticipated survival horror game Resident Evil Village is just around the corner. And as we get closer and closer to the release date, some new details about the game are starting to surface online thanks to a Capcom leak which hit the company last year. Now, according to the documents found in the leaked files, Sony has a contract with Capcom to ensure that no version of the game runs and looks better than on PS5, and to keep Resident Evil Village off of Xbox Game Pass for a full year, which is very interesting to say the least. So here's exactly what the what it says. It says during the term, publishers shall not authorize, assist, or encourage any third party to include the game in any competitive platform subscription service that is competitive with any PlayStation subscription service, including but not limited to Google Stadia Pro subscriptions, Microsoft's Xbox Live Gold, Project xCloud or Game Pass subscription service, or similar competitive subscription services, for a period of 1 year after the release of the game on PlayStation platforms. Exclusive negotiation windows. The SIE affiliates shall have the exclusive right of first negotiation and last match to include the game within PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Now, and any similar subscription service offered by SIE affiliates on PlayStation platforms. Basically meaning Sony has first rights of refusal to put the game in a service. So, like, let's say after a year, Capcom wants to maybe put the game in a service, they have to go to Sony first, and Sony can either, say yay, nay, or whatever. And if they go to Microsoft and Microsoft's, okay, we'll pay you this much, Sony has the chance to match that to still keep it out of Game Pass. So it's very interesting as well. If the SIE affiliates notify publishers that they decide to include the game in any PlayStation subscription service during the exclusive negotiation windows, then the parties will enter into good faith negotiations on the applicable commercials terms for the right to include the game in the applicable PlayStation Plus subscription service, including the license fee and distribution dates. So we get a very big, interesting piece of news right here. During the term, the publisher shall not authorize, assist, or encourage any third party to include the game in a competitive platform. So basically, Sony would be, if this is real, but I want to keep this knowing as well, okay? Guess what? This is still, until proven factual, take it with a grain of salt because we're not really 100% sure. Secondly, it does seem like it is real, and with that being said, if Microsoft is paying companies to put their games out day and date on Game Pass, surely Sony, who is obviously footing the bill for all the marketing for something like Resident Evil and paying for exclusive documents or exclusive demos and stuff like that, you would definitely figure that they wouldn't want that game to launch day and date in Game Pass as well. They're covering themselves. They're covering their bases. I know people are going to jump on the quote-unquote anti-consumer situation, but that's not really the case. They're really just kind of covering their own investment. If you invested, $25 million into advertising for a game that's going to be on your platform, you don't want that to be shockingly releasing day and date and have a MLB The Show situation. Imagine if that were the case. Like, look how everybody reacted to MLB The Show, and we see pretty much right away that that's exactly what they don't want to see here. So, according to this also, an insider says that Sony and Capcom had a similar deal for Resident Evil 7. Apparently, the devs had to cap the texture resolution on PC to look the same as the PS4 Pro version, which was the lead platform. Just like now, the Resident Evil Village, the lead platform is the PlayStation 5. So, again, it's a very standard parity kind of clause. Not only is it a very standard parity clause, but we also know, because Z Huge actually went out and tweeted that these companies do this all the time, and it's not just PlayStation. So Xbox has done this type of parity clause as well. So I know a lot of people really think that Sony's being a little bit unreasonable here. And listen, if that's how you feel, then that's how you feel. But I also just want to point out that you got to keep that same energy, right? Because at the end of the day, there's all these different situations going on. So a lot of people, again, were questioning kind of Z Huge about it. He posted out the Xbox Publisher License Agreement, which has the same wording, and it isn't even for a marketing deal. The part about technical parity is being misinterpreted. According to him, it's also not related to the marketing part. It's a standard clause for both PlayStation and Xbox agreements. In other words, clause exists for both platform holders for all games. People are missing the subject to platform limitations part. The game must have the same content, features, and technical parity on competing platforms, but a different due to hardware limitations is fine. What that means is that PC and Xbox won't be limited if the difference is caused by a technical ability on the platform. It just means that Capcom can't only offer HDR on Xbox if the PS5 supports it too, which it does. So this part of the contract has always been the case, and the parts that are unique to the marketing deal revolve around Sony funding marketing activities for the game and the exclusivity around DLC, demos, and subscription service. This is stuff you wouldn't normally find in publishing agreements, as was written specifically for Resident Evil Village. And basically, if you're about to reply saying, I don't see technical parity on platform limitations mentioned in the Xbox contract, he says, please try reading at least one more time the first two lines, that more than the first two lines, because he actually puts it out. So the exact same situation that we see with the Xbox and things like that is what we see here. Now, when they say parity, it doesn't mean that something's being gimped. It just definitely just means that you can't not offer something. And he brings up a good point with like the HDR. So if a game is offered only with HDR on the Xbox version, that's to prevent something like that, not to gimp something like that. Sony's not paying them to say, okay, well, you can't have HDR or anything like that, which is, would be a pretty dick move at the end of the day. So this is business, okay? Microsoft is out there spending money on third parties because they have no games. Sony is going to spend money to make sure that these games don't end up in Game Pass. I think this is kind of a big thing because, listen, a lot of people were assuming now, because Outriders and MLB The Show launched day and date in Game Pass, that every game's going to do that, right? Now if you're interested in Resident Evil Village, get your butt out there and buy the game, support the developers. Because just because this deal runs out in a year, mind you, doesn't mean that in a year it's going to show up in Game Pass either. It might not ever show up in Game Pass. Like, it really just kind of depends on the situation. So I see so many people that are running around with the wrong narrative. It's just pretending like Microsoft and is so above Sony. Let me just keep this in mind and point this out to you. Microsoft, in fact, paid Sega to have Yakuza Like a Dragon, the patch delayed 6 months on the PS5, so that they were the only ones with the next-gen version at launch with the Xbox Series X, because they didn't have any games. So again, we keep seeing this type of situation happen. We keep seeing it come up, and yet people are acting surprised and want to act like one company is better than the other when they're both doing the same exact things. Once again, I point to the situation of the murderer calling out the other murderer for murder. It makes no damn sense, okay? Let's just nip it in the bud. This is business, and this is actually competition. which is a good thing. With that being said, thank you very much for watching. Have a good day. Have a fantastic time. I'm going to link this. You guys can check it out. Let me know what you think. I'm very interested to hear about it. Thanks for watching. Crapgamer out.
Unscripted.